Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm actually very, very excited for this episode. And I'm going to do something a little bit different because this episode isn't going to be about a framework or tips or strategies at all. It's about something a bit more personal that I've also been teasing a little bit over the past month or so. It's about my business and how my business has evolved, why it's evolved, why I've redefined my brand, and why I don't consider myself just a coach, but of course, why that matters. Because this shift, it's not about me, it's about you. It's about my clients. It's about my listeners. It's about the women I support. It's about the women and the men who also hear me when I'm speaking publicly. It's for those who are navigating intense leadership roles, trying to do it all and doing it well, but still wondering at what cost. Now, before I became a coach, I was the CEO of a company navigating intense change. I spent almost 30 years in corporate. And in my last role, I went through a full reorganization. I had team turnover, some cash flow issues, a cyber attack, the pressure of being the only woman on the board at one point in time. But I wanted that job. I wanted that job. I believed in the company. I believed in the mission. I loved the people. Yet I still found myself lying awake at night for months with insomnia and turning to food and wine a little bit more often than I wanted to admit. And I was feeling stretched thin, and it was never enough. But at the same time, I had so much success in that role. I was helping the company grow. I built a team that I was proud of, and I was helping to shape a culture that mattered. But it also came at a cost. But what changed for me were the tools that I had learned over the years, the tools that helped me navigate that very complex time in my professional life. And those tools I used in my coaching today. And it helped me at that point in time lead differently, despite all of those challenges, speak up without overthinking, stop proving my worth constantly, start trusting myself. And that's when I knew at one point in time that I could also help other women navigate those challenges. So behind the scenes, so just to back up maybe for a minute, I've been a full-time coach now for about 2.5 years. And I started coaching on overwhelm. I don't know if you knew that. I also coached on well-being and weight loss. And those topics were important to me because just topics near and dear to my heart. But I was still missing a little bit of something from my corporate life and my corporate environment. So behind the scenes, over the past, I would say now almost 8 or 9 months, I've been shifting. So quietly at first, refining, I would say, how I communicate what I do, working with all kinds of clients on all kinds of either goals or problems. I've also been reconsidering who I serve. I've been getting bolder and clearer and more unapologetic about the kind of support that I believe executive women need and deserve. Especially if you follow me on LinkedIn. If not, I suggest you go follow me. I post almost daily. I have a lot to say. And because I think that women need support. So I started as an executive. I became a certified life coach with a life coach school and with positive intelligence. And what I offer my clients to get today is not just coaching. I love the partnerships that I develop with my clients, but it is not just coaching. It is a high-level partnership. It's strategic work that we do on how they think about themselves, their lives, their job, their responsibilities. It's space to reflect, to challenge assumptions, to change behaviors, and to reclaim energy. That wellness aspect is still very present in how I work with my clients, because I think you need to feel good and have that energy to be able to show up as the leader and as the woman, I would say maybe as the leading lady in your life. So the women that I work with need a coach, they need a mentor, and a sparring partner. And so there's no one size fits all solution. They need somebody who can speak their language, who knows what it's like to sit at the decision-making table and still feel unseen. Okay, that was me for a while. My clients need to work with somebody who knows what it's like to lead a global team while still managing self-doubt, and who has lived that tension, that constant tension between being ambitious and wanting that big job, but also wanting peace. So I've worked with women today, and this was a very deliberate choice. Now, I do work with men. Don't want to say I don't work with men, but I have found that women need just a little bit more support and also want the support. So I work with women who want to have that job, want to have that amazing opportunity at work, but they don't want it to cost them their health, their sleep, and their sense of self. I love working with women who are newly promoted or who are preparing a promotion. Okay, and I say preparing a promotion because I work with a lot of ambitious women, and they know that the next step is going to be coming. It's not far down. And so also putting into place the groundwork to be prepared, or they come to me once they've been promoted because they know how important those first 90 days are to set them up for success. And they're already competent, they're strategic, they're respected, and yet they still doubt themselves more than they like to admit. They spend their days solving a lot of problems, but still feel isolated. And they know that there's got to be a different way. That's who I work with. People who want to invest in themselves because they know that there is a better way. So my work sits at the intersection of science, leadership, and personal growth. So yes, I bring strategy. Yes, I bring the lived experience, but I also bring mental fitness. And mental fitness is the capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than a negative mindset. And it's not about rainbows and daisies and unicorns everywhere. It's about having the capacity to respond to the challenges that are thrown at you every single day, and that I've already talked about, that is the new normal. We look at the saboteurs running the show in your mind, the controller, the hyperachiever, the pleaser, the avoider, and we learn how to quiet those saboteurs. And I help my clients build the capacity to respond with calm confidence, even when the pressure is on. So it's a combination of tactical leadership skill with emotional resilience. And that is where the transformation happens. And that is what I help my clients do. Now, a little bit more about who I am and why I do this work. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you might know that I'm an American, and you can tell by my accent, but my last name is French because I have a French husband and I've lived in France now for 32 years. And that sounds crazy, but it is true. I've led global teams. Like I said, I had CEO seat. So I know what it's like to navigate in those environments. But also, what I learned over the years was to stop overthinking, to start trusting myself fully, to bring a clear viewpoint to the table, not worry what other people are going to think or say about me. And I let go of the need to prove myself by overworking and over-delivering. And that's what I want for every single woman I work with. Less self-doubt, more self-trust. I want them to have meaningful influence and more presence. I want them to stop proving yourselves. Ladies, you don't have to prove yourself. Because fundamentally, the world needs women in leadership. And I worked in so many companies where just the women never raised their hand for promotion, didn't think they had the skill set. And that for me is a total missed opportunity for companies, for women themselves, and just for the evolution of this world. So I did want to talk also a little bit about my values, because I think it is really important also today to make decisions based on values. First of all is ownership. I take responsibility for how I lead and how I live. Authenticity. So I speak up. I stand in my truth. I show up fully. What you hear here, what you see on Instagram or on social media, that's exactly what you get when you meet me. I value connection. So personal connection that is deeply rooted in respect, cultural awareness, and dignity. I value vitality. And what I put in vitality is energy, health, and joy. They're not nice to have. They are essential. And I live that through the exercise that I do, my nutrition, the fun things I do on the side. So vitality, super important, and growth. I'm a lifelong learner. I read a ton of books. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I take a ton of courses, and I'm always evolving. And I do this not just for me, but for the women I help. So what's next, and why is this important for you? If you have made it through this whole episode up until now, thank you, because this means something for you, for my clients, the people I work with, the people in my audience. I have redesigned also the services in my business based on all of the clients that I've coached over the past now, 2.5, almost 3 years, based on also the needs of what I see. I work with women in two ways. Either I find that they have a very finely defined challenge. So it's one strategic leadership challenge. It could be something like working on their visibility. It could be managing conflict. It could be speaking up, even when you feel that nobody's listening. So it could be any kind of challenge. I have a focused 6-week coaching sprint to solve either one problem or reach one goal. So that is my catalyst offer. My second way that I work with women is a long-term coaching partnership. And I call this partnership because it is a very in-depth relationship that will change the way that you show up in your life and at work. It's 4 to 8 months, and it's designed for a deep evolution around mindset, leadership presence, and sustainable impact. I also speak at events and lead workshops. Two of my favorite topics are visibility and also navigating change. And finally, I do want to talk a little bit about my branding, because if you go to my website, and I would encourage you to do that, you will see I love it. It is simple. It is fresh, what I call fresh, with the colors, the icons, and I have a tagline. And I wanted to take a minute to explain it. The tagline is Elite Leadership Boutique. So I will repeat that again. The tagline is Elite Leadership Boutique. And why did I decide to call it that? So first of all, we debated a very long time with my brand strategist around that, and I didn't choose it lightly. It is not elitist. It is not meant to be elitist. What I offer is not mass coaching. It is personal, strategic, very private, one-to-one boutique coaching. It is tailored to senior women who are already performing and are ready to take it to the next level. So you can learn more on karengombo.com. Message me. I would love to have a conversation. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. I'm not just a coach. I'm a trusted advisor. I'm a strategic partner. I'm a woman who has led, who has flirted several times with burnout, who has redefined success and has come back stronger. There are a ton of recommendations on my LinkedIn, so you can also see what it's like to work with me, and you will see that they're all pretty much the same because that's how I am. So this brand is evolution. In conclusion, it's not about a new logo. Yes, I love my new logo. It is sort of a flower, sort of a butterfly, but it is actually a K. If you look at it closely, it is a K. But what it symbolizes, it is a new level for me of honesty, of boldness, of perfect alignment with who I am and who I want to serve. And if you are ready for that, I'm here. If I think I can help you one day, I will also tell you that. So thank you for being with me on this journey. Thank you for listening to this whole episode. And I just want to encourage you to go be brilliant.